The sky over Washington, D.C. was unusually gray for a summer morning. But what was brewing inside the Capitol was far more intense than any weather disturbance. A thunderstorm was about to strike, not from nature, but from one of the most influential men in the world, Elon Musk. It had started a few weeks earlier. Musk, who had been openly critical of what he called the weaponization of the judiciary, found himself at the center of a legal firestorm. His latest venture, Neuralink's satellite interface, which promised to revolutionize neural access to the internet for rural and underserved communities, had been slapped with a cease and desist order from a Washington, D.C. federal court. The judge behind the order? Judge James Boasberg, known for his meticulous, by-the-book approach. And surprisingly, the ruling was upheld by Chief Justice John Roberts, who cited national security ambiguities as grounds for the temporary injunction. To Musk, this wasn't just a legal matter, it was a direct attack. He believed the elites in D.C. feared losing their control over information and communication, and Neuralink's free, encrypted, high-speed satellite access would put power directly into people's hands. And Elon wasn't the type to back down. At first, he responded on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, with a simple post. The people didn't elect these judges. But the people will remember what they've done. The post went viral. Conservative influencers, libertarian groups, tech enthusiasts, and millions of Americans rallied behind Musk, praising his fight against government overreach. But behind closed doors, Elon was furious. That weekend, at a private retreat in Texas with key executives from SpaceX, X, and Tesla, Elon announced, "We're going to take this fight to the Supreme Court. And not just in briefs or hearings. I'm going to speak the truth out loud on camera in front of the world." His team was stunned. No CEO had ever challenged the judiciary this publicly, certainly not at the Supreme Court level. By Monday, the headlines read, Elon Musk plans live address on Supreme Court steps after court halts Neuralink expansion. The buzz was immediate. Some called it dangerous. Others called it revolutionary. Judge Boasberg issued a statement through his office. Judicial independence must be preserved. Public criticism by parties involved in litigation undermines our Constitution. Chief Justice Roberts, typically silent on public matters, spoke at a private event at Columbia Law School. We must not allow billionaires with loud microphones to intimidate the judiciary. That was the final straw. 3 days later, thousands gathered outside the Supreme Court. Security was on high alert. Cameras from every major news network were pointed at a small podium set up at the foot of the marble steps. And then he appeared. Wearing a black jacket with the Neuralink logo, flanked by minimal security and holding a small tablet, Elon Musk took the podium. He looked around. His voice calm yet edged with fury. We stand here not just for a company or a product, but for a principle. When unelected judges can decide what technologies the public is allowed to access, we are no longer living in a democracy. We are living in a techno-feudal state. The crowd erupted in cheers. But Elon wasn't finished. Judge Boasberg claims national security is a concern. Yet we have provided full transparency. The real concern, I believe, is who controls the signal. They want the people dependent. Neuralink's system gives them freedom. And that is what they fear. He paused, then stared straight at the cameras. And Chief Justice Roberts, with all due respect, your silence in the face of government overreach is deafening. You were supposed to be the guardian of the Constitution, not the gatekeeper of elite interest. Gasps echoed through the crowd. What Elon had just done was unprecedented. And the battle had only begun. The moment Elon Musk finished his fiery speech on the Supreme Court steps, social media platforms exploded like fireworks on the 4th of July. Within minutes, the hashtags #Elon vs. Roberts and #judicial overreach were trending worldwide. News anchors scrambled to interpret the unprecedented outburst, while politicians on both sides of the aisle rushed to take positions either to condemn or to commend. At Fox News, Tucker Carlson cut into regular programming for a breaking segment. We have never in American history seen a figure of this magnitude call out the highest court in the land. This is not just a tech war. This is a battle for control of truth. Across the aisle, CNN was less charitable. What Elon Musk did today was reckless. It was incendiary. And it could erode faith in our judicial system at a time when it's already fragile. Behind the scenes in D.C., the walls were shaking. The White House press secretary dodged direct questions, claiming the administration had no comment on an ongoing legal matter. But sources within the administration leaked that President Trump was privately amused and saw Elon's actions as a calculated risk worth watching. Chief Justice John Roberts, however, was reportedly furious. The Supreme Court had never been publicly challenged like this, certainly not by someone with the cultural and financial influence of Musk. Within hours, legal scholars began debating whether Musk's comments constituted contempt of court. In a rare move, the Supreme Court's Public Information Office issued a brief statement. While criticism of the court is part of free speech, attacks on its legitimacy may have long-term consequences for our republic. Elon, of course, didn't flinch. That night, he hosted a live Spaces event on X titled Judicial Tyranny in the Age of Tech, joined by voices like Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Tulsi Gabbard, and even Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Over 12 million people tuned in live. Elon dropped bombshell after bombshell. Did you know that the same lobbying groups that fought against Tesla's direct-to-consumer model have now filed amicus briefs in this Neuralink case? This isn't about national security. This is about power. One of the panelists, Tulsi Gabbard, added. This isn't a partisan issue. It's an American issue. And Elon is right to fight this. Meanwhile, Judge Boasberg faced increasing pressure. Journalists uncovered that he had once received campaign donations before becoming a judge from telecom-linked PACs that had lobbied heavily against satellite-based internet access. Though technically legal, the optics were terrible. Legal experts debated whether Boasberg should recuse himself from the Neuralink case. But the judge held firm, releasing a statement through the court. My decisions are grounded in the law and the evidence. Personal attacks from billionaires will not influence the integrity of this courtroom. But Musk wasn't alone anymore. Thousands of protesters began gathering in major cities, Austin, Phoenix, Miami, even Seattle. Holding signs like, "We the people, not the judges, and let the sky be free," Americans from all walks of life showed up. At one rally in Dallas, a 70-year-old veteran told a reporter, "I fought for freedom. And when judges start telling us we can't access uncensored internet in rural America, that ain't freedom. That's control." By the end of the week, over 100 members of Congress signed a bipartisan letter urging the Supreme Court to review and clarify its decision. Elon's pressure campaign was working. But deep inside the marble halls of the Supreme Court, a storm was brewing. Chief Justice Roberts was preparing something no one had seen in decades. A public rebuke. And if Musk thought he had already stirred the hornet's nest, he was about to find out that the judiciary had claws too. By Monday morning, America's eyes were locked on one place. The Supreme Court. Whispers of an unprecedented move had leaked to the press. Chief Justice John Roberts was preparing a rare public address. Outside the normal confines of written opinions or rulings. It had been over a decade since Roberts made any kind of direct public commentary on a specific case, especially while it was still active. But the Musk affair had grown too big, too loud, and too destabilizing to ignore. At precisely 10 a.m., Roberts appeared at the Judicial Conference of the United States, flanked by senior judges and legal scholars. Cameras captured his calm but visibly tense demeanor. After the brief formalities, he walked to the podium and looked straight into the lens. In a nation governed by laws, not by wealth, not by influence, and certainly not by algorithms, the courts stand as neutral arbiters of justice. He paused. Mr. Musk has made extraordinary contributions to technology, innovation, and even space exploration. But no one, not even those with the ability to launch rockets, is above the legal process. There was a chilling silence. This court will not be swayed by popular movements, trending hashtags, or emotionally charged broadcasts. We interpret the Constitution, not the whims of digital populism. Roberts didn't name Musk directly again, but the entire speech was a clear, calculated strike, crafted to restore judicial authority and push back against what the Chief Justice saw as an existential threat to institutional trust. Within minutes, reactions poured in. MSNBC praised Roberts for defending the rule of law. The New York Times published an op-ed titled, "The Courts Must Not Bend to the Billionaires." But over at X, Musk hit post on a message he had prepared during Roberts' speech. John Roberts just confirmed what I've been saying all along. The courts are more afraid of public accountability than of violating constitutional rights. They don't interpret the Constitution. They protect their power. The tweet was shared 43 million times in 24 hours. What followed was nothing short of chaos. That evening, during an appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, Elon dropped another bombshell. I've been holding back some information, but now it's time to release it. We have internal communications, emails, texts, that show coordination between telecom lobbyists and members of the judicial advisory committees. Joe raised an eyebrow. Wait, are you saying there's evidence of influence peddling inside the judiciary? That's exactly what I'm saying, Joe. And it's time America sees it. Within 72 hours, Elon released a 50-page document titled The Neural Files via X and Tesla's news platform. The files included internal memos from a now-defunct lobbying firm that detailed efforts to delay or derail satellite-based technologies in favor of existing terrestrial infrastructure backed by legacy contracts. One email, dated 2 years prior, referenced a private dinner with a member of the Judiciary Advisory Board, hinting at backdoor influence. The public went nuclear. Protests at federal courthouses grew. #DrainTheBench became a trending slogan. Public confidence in the federal judiciary dropped to its lowest in 2 decades, according to a Rasmussen poll. Meanwhile, Congress was forced to respond. Senator Rand Paul introduced a bill demanding full transparency on judicial financial disclosures and associations with lobbying groups. He cited clear erosion of public trust due to unaddressed conflicts of interest. But the climax wasn't here yet, because just as Musk was about to celebrate his growing influence, a new threat emerged. Judge Boasberg, under immense scrutiny and pressure, made an emergency filing, accusing Elon Musk of attempted judicial intimidation and unlawful interference in an active case. If approved, Musk could face federal penalties. Or worse, the war between tech titan and the judicial elite had just entered its most dangerous phase. The emergency filing by Judge Boasberg sent shockwaves across the country. For the first time in modern history, a federal judge had formally accused a billionaire of trying to manipulate the outcome of a federal case. Legal analysts were stunned. The charges weren't criminal, at least not yet, but the accusation alone was explosive. The motion filed in D.C. District Court stated, Mr. Musk's conduct constitutes a blatant effort to publicly discredit the judiciary, sway ongoing legal proceedings, and intimidate the court through mass influence and data leaks. Such behavior undermines the foundation of a democratic judicial process. Elon's legal team fired back instantly. Lead attorney Lee Dundas delivered a fiery press conference outside Tesla's Palo Alto headquarters. Let me be clear. Mr. Musk has not intimidated anyone. He has exposed what the American people deserve to know: corruption, collusion, and unconstitutional overreach. If speaking truth is intimidation, then maybe it's the truth the courts fear. As America watched the legal tug-of-war unfold, another storm was brewing, not in courtrooms or on social media, but on Capitol Hill. A powerful bipartisan House committee, dubbed the Tech Judiciary Oversight Panel, was formed overnight. Co-chaired by Republican Senator Josh Hawley and Democrat Congresswoman Ro Khanna, the panel's mission was clear: investigate possible unethical ties between judicial advisors and tech-opposing lobbyists. Musk, now emboldened by the people, agreed to testify, live and under oath. The hearing was electric. Wearing a plain black suit with a Neuralink pin on his lapel, Elon took his seat. Cameras from every major network pointed toward him. Congress was packed. Even former President Obama was reportedly watching from Chicago. Representative Khanna opened the hearing. Mr. Musk, thank you for being here. Let's start simply. Do you believe the judicial system has been compromised? Elon looked straight ahead and replied calmly, yes, and I can prove it. What followed was an unprecedented 90-minute presentation. Elon's team laid out email chains, whistleblower statements from former legal clerks, and payment trails linking lobbyists to judicial foundations that had, at the very least, influence over how tech-related policy and litigation developed. Perhaps the most damning moment came when Musk displayed a confidential memo marked privileged from a major telecom firm. The memo, sent to a judge's liaison, included the phrase, "Delay Neuralink via security clause loophole. Coordinate with DOJ and Judicial Strategy Group." The room gasped. Several members of the committee sat stunned. Senator Hawley leaned forward and asked, Mr. Musk, are you saying a coordinated effort exists between corporations, executive agencies, and members of the judiciary to sabotage your innovation? Not just my innovation, Senator, Elon replied. Any innovation that threatens legacy power structures. Public trust in Musk skyrocketed. Polls showed that 67% of Americans believed Musk had been unfairly targeted by the judicial system. But as Musk left the Capitol building, his phone buzzed. A federal summons. Judge Boasberg had escalated his motion to the DOJ, triggering an official investigation into Musk for obstruction of justice and contempt. Musk paused, then smiled. Let's dance. What came next would be the showdown of the century, Musk versus the U.S. judicial establishment in court. Not in the shadows. Not on social media, but in the brightest spotlight imaginable. And the whole world would be watching. Washington, D.C., a bitter cold morning settled over the nation's capital as throngs of people gathered outside the federal courthouse where Elon Musk would face one of the most high-profile legal battles in American history. Inside the courtroom, the tension was suffocating. Journalists sat shoulder to shoulder with diplomats, CEOs, and even retired judges, all waiting for a spectacle that blurred the lines between constitutional law, technological progress, and raw political power. The Department of Justice had charged Musk with obstruction of justice, attempted judicial influence, and contempt of federal authority. The charges weren't just about Musk's words, but his intent to question, undermine, and potentially collapse trust in the judiciary. But Elon wasn't alone. His defense team included some of the most unorthodox legal minds in the country, tech-savvy, constitution-quoting lawyers who understood not just the law, but the era. The strategy was simple: turn the trial itself into a mirror to reflect the decaying transparency of the system that had come to fear open debate. On day 3 of the trial, Elon took the stand. This trial isn't about me. It's about whether the people who build the future will be shackled by the past. He paced slowly, eyes locked with the jury. The courts weren't supposed to be extensions of political or corporate empires. But we've seen how they've been manipulated. If you punish me for exposing it, what message are you sending? That truth has no place in democracy? A hushed silence fell over the courtroom. Even Boasberg, sitting behind his bench, briefly looked away. But the prosecution wasn't about to let him walk out unscathed. Lead DOJ prosecutor Angela Morse delivered a brutal cross-examination. Mr. Musk, are you above the law? Do your billions give you the right to threaten the pillars of our republic? Elon didn't flinch. I never threatened the system. I warned it. And if the system feels threatened by a warning, maybe it's already broken. The closing arguments ended with fireworks on both sides. The jury retired to deliberate. The media spun furiously, trying to predict the outcome. X was flooded with hashtags like #JusticeForMusk, #CourtsOnTrial, and #TruthOrPower. After 42 tense hours, the jury returned. The full woman, a soft-spoken nurse from Ohio, stood and delivered the verdict in a trembling voice. On all charges. Not guilty. The room exploded. Gasps. Cries. Cheers. A few people openly wept. Elon sat motionless for a moment, then slowly smiled, not with arrogance, but relief. He stood, nodded to the jury, and embraced his attorneys. Outside, a sea of supporters erupted in celebration. Some waved American flags. Others carried signs that read, "Innovation is not a crime and let builders build." That evening, Elon Musk appeared on a special live broadcast titled The Verdict, streamed across YouTube, X, and over 100 global channels. He stood in front of a SpaceX rocket, his silhouette framed by steel and flame. This victory isn't about me. It's about us. About our right to speak up, to question, to expose, and to dream. We can disagree with our leaders, our courts, and our laws and still love our country. That's what makes America great. He paused, then delivered one last thunderbolt. We must defend free thought like we defend our borders. The moment we silence those who speak truth to power, we stop being a republic and become something else. The world listened. Even in the halls of the Supreme Court, where Chief Justice Roberts sat in his office watching the live stream, there was a moment of reflection. He turned off the screen, leaned back, and whispered to himself, "This will change everything." And it did. In the months that followed, Congress passed the Judicial Transparency Reform Act. The Supreme Court announced term limits for advisory roles. A new federal agency, the Technological Integrity Commission, was formed to monitor conflicts between innovation and governance. As for Elon, he returned to his projects, Mars, AI, neural tech, but this time as more than a tech billionaire. He had become something else. A symbol. A rebel. A reformer. A reminder that the future can't be chained by the fears of the present.